My name is Lorne Muller. I come from Manitoba and I will be your MC for the conference. So you're going to have to put up with me. 2026 is a big year. I don't know how many of you realize this, but 26 is the 20th anniversary of Back to Your Soil Solutions. And we are going to be celebrating that. We got lots of stuff going on. You see around here some banners, some pop-ups. Some of these do fall into the vintage category and are not used now. But anyways, we're trying to reflect the memories of the last 20 years and the journey of it, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that in a little bit. When you were sitting down and having some breakfast, there were some slides that were rotating, and that is what we try to reflect. The people, the things that we've seen in the last 20 years. And so that will be showing later on as well. This is going to be an amazing opportunity to learn again. We have got some amazing speakers here, and we will have some more coming in. But we've got an opportunity to learn more about soil health. And learning about soil health is not an event. It's a journey. And industry says that we know less than 5% about what's going on in the soil. And so everything that we can learn is going to make a difference for you on your farm. Take the opportunity to talk amongst yourselves. We got a good crowd here. Some of you are new. Some of you have been here before. Some of you have been here since the beginning. But there's a lot of experience and a lot of opportunity to just learn from each other at the same time. Make sure that you ask the questions that you need to. You want to. The only wrong question is the one that's not asked. So please make sure that you do that. We'd like to welcome the speakers for this year's conference. Tom is not here yet, so we've had to juggle around the agenda a little bit, and we're not going to introduce them at this point in time, but we're going to introduce them a little more as we go through the conference. A little bit of the history, a little bit of the journey. Talk a little bit about my own journey as well. Okay. In the mid-2000s, nurse Cindy Moline began to question the nutritional value of the food that we in agriculture produce. She was noticing that there was degradation of a population of people in the nursing home where she worked that were not the oldest ones, but there was a segment there that were not responding to medication, and they were degrading health-wise, even though they were getting the treatments that she wanted or that they were supposed to. Her brother Greg was involved in the Soil Food Web Lab at the time, and through a series of conversations and meetings, they were introduced to the concept of nutrient density of food and the relation of that to the soil health. In this process over the years, people like Glenn Rabenberg, Steve Weston, Dr. Arden Anderson, Dr. Sandy Badeau, Dr. Elaine Ingham, Dr. Tom Dykstra, and Dr. Huber all brought information that solidified the direction that Back to Your Roots was supposed to go. In 2006, armed with a dream, determination, and a little white van, Back to Your Roots Soil Solutions was registered and the journey began. During the winter of 2007-8, Cindy received a phone call from a producer in Manitoba who had received her contact info and was asking a million questions. That individual was myself. I had been watching my soil quality go down. The soil was getting harder, and the plant residues from previous crops was still on and in the soil 4 to 5 years afterwards. Something had to change. I knew that it wasn't supposed to be working like that, but something has to change. After the million questions were discussed and answered, she made her first sail into northwestern Manitoba, and another journey began. During that first application, thinking that I had absolutely lost my mind because there's no way that applying a little bags of white powder is going to work. And I sprayed out 78 sprayer loads that first fall. I had a small sprayer. We have to do 20 gallons. I was committed, or I should have been committed maybe. It was only my resolve to keep going and my stubbornness to not quit that kept me from turning back. In the spring of 2009, my experience, which was thankfully captured in a photograph that many of you have seen, this was all the proof that I needed to know I was on the right path. Had no answers, had no way that I could define it or explain it, but I could see the results. Having been given the opportunity to work with Back to Your Roots, I worked hard to understand just a small fraction of what people like Cindy, Greg, Glenn Rabenberg, and Steve Weston were talking about in meetings, conferences, trade shows, and field walks. In those early days, whenever we went to a trade show, there was only a small handful of biological companies that would be represented. And the ag industry was not overly receptive to the message that we brought. Talking about microbes in the soil and even them needing the environment to survive or to thrive, feeding them and taking care of them and using biologically friendly products was so out of the box thinking that even other biological companies had a hard time understanding us. This was in the early period of 2006 to 2009. In collaboration with Greg at Hybrix Manufacturing, products such as the GSR Calcium, organic sugar, micronized soft rock, essential phos, seed and fruit, and liquid fish were added to the company. With products like the microbial tea, humic acids, fulvic acids, and the Zoomzil coming shortly after. Watching the synergies between the various products and the results in the field situations, there was never a need to remove a product because it didn't work or it wasn't needed. And this is actually a very, very important point. The way that the products were put together and the understanding in the soil, there was always a synergy that was being found in adding these together. And even though there was a couple of products that we changed suppliers just to improve the quality with, these products still form the core of what we use to move ourselves towards a healthier soil. There have been many companies that have come and gone in these last 20 years, and the number that have survived all 20 years is an even smaller handful. But here we are, 20 years later, and we still have that same message. Create the environment, make sure the microbes are there in the soil, and feed them so that they can assist and feed the plant, which is all a part of the carbon cycle. And this is now referred to as the ABCs of soil health. There's a banner at the back, the 3 steps to soil regeneration. That's one of the earlier banners. We talked about oxygen, biology, and microbial nutrition. It didn't stick. Okay, the information is still there in the same format. It's just now we refer to it as the ABCs. And this is something that seems to resonate with people because I think most people graduated kindergarten. Our, meaning Lorne and Monica, journey changed from that first phone call. Our own experiences on our own farm started a passion for soil health. After a successful farming career of almost 40 years, with only the last 11 years working with and using the Back to Your Roots products. And that is probably my biggest regret. I wished I would have found this all out 20 years prior. We retired from the farm and we are now working full-time with Back to Your Roots. We cannot not share the information and our own experience of the journey towards a healthier soil. This is just something that has become a passion, and it's what we have to do. Guess what? The soil still works the same today as it did 20 years ago, as it did 50 years before that, as it did hundreds of years before that. When we align our strategies with how the soil was created and designed to work, agriculture becomes much easier. When we fight it, neglect it, and subject it to things that it was never meant to experience, agriculture becomes an uphill battle with a downward spiraling of profits, making one question if we as farmers will ever survive. Back to Roots and High Bricks Manufacturing have been hosting a yearly producer conference almost every year since the beginning, providing opportunities for education, hearing speakers that are at the top in their class of expertise, and the interaction and the networking that fellow producers can experience has been a priority in how we do business. Having farmers see and understand what is happening in their soil has been the focus ever since the beginning. We want farmers to succeed, to grow healthy food for your families, for the world we live in. Providing a lower stress environment on the farm and building a resilience in the soil has always been a priority. Soil is your number one asset. You cannot trade it off. It will be used by the next generation and future generations to grow food for the population of the world. No more is being made, and in fact, there is less of it every year to grow food. A huge thank you to Cindy and Greg for the knowledge and the network you put together. Thank you for putting yourself out there when the world was not wanting to hear your message. But you persevered anyways and kept going. On a personal note, Cindy, thank you for answering the phone that day and being willing to discuss topics that I needed to hear. Ladies and gentlemen, it begins with and is all about the soil.